And I have the opportunity, it's really a privilege, I have to say, to introduce Davis Masten. mediaX has benefited greatly from his experiences, on which he's been able to share advice to mediaX. As co-chair of the President's Circle of the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, he advised global science issues and how science can be of service to the public. We've benefited a lot from that at mediaX. Davis's perspective is broad, and it's global, and it's deep.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Martha, Elizabeth, Jason. Hello, mediaX. It's my privilege to be here with you today. My hope is that I'm going to share a conversation that I've been having with myself and with others. And I hope that we're able to start a conversation together, or actually more importantly to me, is that you find enough interest and value in the content that you start a conversation with yourself and other people in your lives, and that we can enrich each other in that context. So I'm here to share the conversation of Drop Dead Happy. My dad is my inspiration. He dropped dead happy. That at the ripe young age of 75, he had gone to a party the night before he died, said he'd just gotten over a cold, hadn't felt so good in 20 years. The next morning, he was playing golf with some buddies, took a backswing and fell into a water feature. And there was a dock in the next foursome and said, no, he's gone. So I think, what a way to go. I have learned to call that inspiration from my dad, Drop Dead Happy. It became more, even closer to me after a surfing accident I had at the point of Diamond Head on a big wave day. And I was in my kayak and had screamed down the face of a wave and made the wave. But in the backwash, my nose of my kayak caught, and I flipped out of the kayak like this, and then it came down and hit me in the head. I had my nose dripping and that kind of stuff for some time, but I just thought it was some kind of an odd cold. I was in meetings shortly thereafter in Washington, D.C. at the National Academies. And it was a 3-day conference, and there I'm in a coat and tie. I'm starting to sweat underneath, and I just get that I'm an old road warrior and I need to go home. I've got a bug or something. This is pre-COVID. I asked for them to get me a car and change my flight. And instead they came back and said, Davis, we've called for an ambulance and we're taking you to the ER. And I went, what? And it was a good thing they did that because 7 hours after being in the ER, they called to read me last rites. It was a Catholic hospital. And fortunately, after 2 surgeries and 31 days in neuro ICU, they let me out. And in this kind of a life-threatening situation, I get so many people asking me, well, how did your life change? And I so often said, not much. I'm happy to be here. But it took a couple of years. And my last rites takeaway really was that I want to drop dead happy. So this is really for me a conversation starter, and how to drop dead happy. Now, I don't think uh, some of what I'm about to say may apply to you directly, um, but for each one of us, I think we find our own answers. For instance, I have an older brother who, when we talk about Drop Dead Happy, he immediately goes to his religious roots and finds that that is his path and everything else is secondary. In my case, I have 3 points that creativity, exercise and diet, and sociability are how I plan to drop dead happy. So here, photography, singing, songwriting, lyrics and poetry, ukulele. I didn't do any of these 10 years ago. I mean, I a little bit on a digital photography standpoint. And I sang when I was a kid. I was in a folk group, made a little money, and but did glee club and choir and just normal stuff. Um, that, but these are all things that have come new and fresh to me in the context of Drop Dead Happy. They're all here to help me be available to myself in each moment. Here we have, this is focused on exercise. I'll get into Barton Wellness in a second, but yoga is something I've just been doing for the last few years. Massage, meditation, sleep, are aspects of it. And then I hike, I do stand-up paddle, I ski. I'm with my I do all kinds of activities, and I also cut back on activities that I used to do. I don't do triathlons anymore. I'm saving my knees for my grandchildren. But let me go to Barton Wellness. Barton is the local hospital. They have they were certified back when Lake Tahoe had the 1960s winter Olympics at Squaw Valley. They were certified as USA ski team, a rehab and workout place. They built a $15 million facility that opened last year. And I go there to where I gave them what they called a manifesto, and said, here's what I try to do with my life. What can you do to help? It's an integrative medicine approach. And I'm there working out oftentimes on my own, but oftentimes in groups. And I could be, I remember not too long ago, an Olympic gold medal winner, we were running, tossing medicine balls to each other, and she yelled at me, Davis, keep up. I was just happy to be there at all, right? But Barton is something where I work with them on goals. And so one of my goals is to be skiing, doing downhill skiing in my 80s, right? I get that has more to do with my preparation now than it will have to do as I'm in my 80s. So it's your body does self-repair or homeostasis into your 40s, maybe early 50s. That self-repair starts to break down, I've come to learn. And in that context, that I'm just trying to help my body as I can, based on data. And in that context, they give me exercises for how do I ski well in my 80s or whatever else it is that I'm doing. I mentioned being data focused. Let me give you a couple of take a couple of things here. Meditation, for instance. I knew I should meditate. Keith, it's part of the answer to what you're talking about, your question. That in my context, I have meditated now for 850 plus days in a row. I do that it's good for me. I feel the effects, but I also get that so much about life is walking the walk. And so what's important as well is a reminder that I give myself every day when I do this, that I'm not just talking, I'm walking, and I'm walking for me. So it's a way to express gratitude and have data. At the same time, sleep, back in the days when um, with Cheskin, that sleep, who needs sleep? I understand what the sleep experts are saying. I know a bunch of them, and but this is just something I power through because I'm kind of busy. I got too much time. I don't have enough time. Anyway, so I get that with longevity, sleep's really important. And so I've given up my old ways, and I wear an Oura ring. And since February of 2016, I've been able to move my sleep. So I now average 7 hours and 14 minutes a night. I have a resting heart rate in the low 50s. And there are all kinds of things I can get into in terms of data. So it's the data that helps me, and I work along those lines. This is a potpourri of things, but the longevity uh, experts will say the number one thing that people need to do as they age is to not be isolated. I kind of took that on the flip side, having come from well, I want to surround myself uh, with people, and not to say that there aren't plenty of times when I need to be by myself, but that I come from a big family. I'm the last of five. My wife is the eldest of seven in 10 years. We have kids who we love and like, and vice versa, fortunately, and we've got grandkids, and who doesn't? I mean, almost everybody adores their grandchildren. I also have friends from grammar school and high school, college, professional life. I mean, a lot of people do. One of the things that's unusual in my case is I have 8 college buddies who used to be 11 college buddies, but now it's 8 college buddies who are in touch daily. These are my 3 pillars. My hope is that it started or impacted a conversation that you have in you.
Davis, I want to thank you so much for sharing your perspectives with us today. We've all had an opportunity to, with quarantine, to be a little more available to ourselves perhaps than we had before. And personally, I will say that one of my goals has been to continue being interesting to myself. That seems to resonate with the journey that you're describing.